Theory embrace. Original sin. Good news.
Without too much hesitation, everyone will now wonder what Jesus has made in fact as testimony relating to the alleged sin of the flesh of which the Old Testament has given such an account of. All the more intriguing since Jesus was prophesied in this sense.
I will open my mouth in parable. I will utter things hidden since the creation of the world.
The sin of the flesh is therefore for us to kill, or to influence the killing or injury of an animal. It is therefore a matter of apologizing for this act of cruelty of harmless appearance by the necessity of hunger. Eating an animal would not have too many harmful consequences in itself. But the violence required conditions a hideous cruelty. This sin consists in consciously generating death or compromising the freedom or health of an animal. The study of apostolic documents reveals a certain ambiguity, but intuition indicates that the integrity and the love of one another must extend to the animal kingdom. As a fast or atoning sacrifice, vegetarianism may better resemble a sacrament useful to the integration of the dogma of Christ. Let us do the exhumation, the gathering and the demystification of the profound meaning of Christian texts.
Psychoanalysis of the Nativity.
It seems important for us to mention the psychoanalytic facts that accompanied the birth of Jesus. This is the vision that Mary had just before she gave birth, and the one that Joseph had when he was looking for a midwife while Mary was giving birth on her own in the crib. God gave original instructions to Miriam and Aaron as assumed according to Moses. He would address every prophet only by enigma. So if the prophet have a good foresight in the celestial works, it is by a kinship in their aspirations and their works. If dreams are enigmatic, it is also due to our lack of integrity. This is therefore due to our inability to accept the full ideology. We must acquire it as a whole thoroughly and free ourselves from our false precepts with much refinement. If we remain poorly educated, then it would be by comforting ourselves in our spirit of pride. But the reason that brings us to lift the veil on these apocryphal data in particular is their particular significance in close relation to the thesis presented here. The parents of Jesus had to be educated about the fate and perilous mission of their child, of tragic destiny, from the beginning. It was also a lead for them to interpret superficially the supernatural phenomena that accompanied the birth. It was above all a divine way of assuring absolutely devoted parents to Jesus. Moreover, we cannot doubt the affinity of God for Mary and Joseph.
Vision of Mary.
While Mary and Joseph were near Bethlehem, Joseph noticed that Mary was sad. Short after, she became joyous. Joseph asked her for an explanation. Mary then made him the description of this vision. I had two dreams different and strange. I have seen the people of Israel weeping and saddened, similar to a blind man lying in the sun, but rejoicing not its light. And I've seen foreign people sitting in darkness. Light was thrown on them and they were happy and joyful as the blind man whose eyes are opening. Joseph replied,
Remain, sit and stand on your mount, and say no superfluous words.
So a beautiful child in a dazzling outfit appeared before them and said to Joseph,
What you have heard on the subject of the two peoples, why did you call it superfluous words? Because she saw the Jews in tears because it has distanced itself from God, and she saw the people of the Gentiles in joy because it has approached the Lord according to the promise made unto your fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Because the time has come when in the posterity of Abraham blessing is granted to all nations.
Vision of Joseph.
After stopping his walk to leave Marie in a cave, Joseph went looking for a midwife. But on the way, everything froze in time including Joseph. Here is the story of his vision.
But I, Joseph, was walking and I was not walking. And I looked up to the peak of the sky and saw it standing still, and I looked up into the air. With utter astonishment I saw it, even the birds of the sky were not moving. And I looked at the ground and saw a bowl lying there and workers reclining. And their hands were in the bowl. And chewing, they were not chewing. And picking food up, they were not picking it up. And putting food in their mouths, they were not putting it in their mouths. Rather, all their faces were looking up. And I saw sheep being driven, but the sheep were standing still. And the shepherd lifted up his hand to strike them, but his hand remained above them. And I saw the rushing current of the river, and I saw goats and their mouths resting in the water, but they were not drinking. And suddenly everything was replaced by the ordinary course of events.
Is it not surprising that Joseph has this summary view of the sin of the flesh put into guardianship, while Mary had a vision of her social consequences? This, while their solution is arriving in the crib. From this infamous place, the slaughterhouse,